and welcome back to Power Players. Today, I am so excited. Man, I love this dude right here, Coach Hue Jackson, Cleveland Browns. You were with the Browns. I think you were with the Bengals for a while.
Yes, I were.
And Oakland Raiders.
Yes, sir.
Coach NFL, 32 in the world, folks. At any given time, right?
On any
given Sunday.
Any given Sunday.
There's only 32. I really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you for inviting me here. What an opportunity for me.
Yeah, and so today I have you on a show that we do called Power Players. Okay, it's people that are in power, that got power, and I want to share with the audience what you've done. I mean, to be in the NFL, like what is that even like, dude? To be able to say,
well, it's a blessing. You know, you said it, to be one of 32, to have the opportunity to lead an organization. You know, that's a dream. You know, I grew up in inner city LA. Got a chance to go coach at USC at one time in my career, but to go forward and be one of the leaders in the National Football League twice, you know, to me that was a tremendous accomplishment.
Twice being the Raiders and then
in Cleveland, yes, sir.
So okay, let's tell how does a guy like you find a guy like me?
Well, I think for the first time in my career, because obviously I got let go at Cleveland, I've had more downtime, you know, to kind of branch off into other things. But you first came to me a couple years ago. I was looking through Instagram, and I saw you speaking, and you have a way of moving people, and you moved me in one of your talks, one of your podcasts. I go, wow, this guy.
Was it an interview, or was it a speaking gig?
It was a speaking gig, and you were talking, and then it would flash to your big conference.
Okay.
And just watching you move a room like that, and I'm going, wow, I mean, this guy can draw people to him. And so I never thought more of it. And then this year, you know, like I said, spending more time doing some other things, I started to really follow you. And again, over the last month and a half, I've picked up so much knowledge just about finances and how you can be better with them.
And you told me yesterday, you came in yesterday, we talked, so you told me yesterday about the void of financial data in the NFL space.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you think through it, we coaches, when you're in it, you're in it. I mean, it's a 365-day-a-year job.
So it's not just the season?
No, and that's what people think, because there's an off season and you're planning, or you're drafting players and you're getting ready. We normally take a break in June. You get a 5-week vacation, you know, and that time you're trying to reconnect with your family and friends and loved ones. So you don't have that time to really stretch yourself mentally to go find different ways to make your cash grow. So I think that's one of the voids that I see with NFL coaches and even college coaches.
Just getting so focused on the game, on winning, on the season, on the players.
Yeah, well, because it's all about our earned income. You know, and as you talk about, you got to be great at your first income.
Yeah, right.
You know, before you ever think about having a second income. So I think as coaches, it's such a competitive business that you have to make sure that you're on top of your game.
So, dude, how do you get in there? Like, bring me back to little Hugh.
Okay.
Where would you grow up?
I grew up in inner city LA.
Okay.
And I'm one of those stories that I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth or anything like that. My mom finished the 11th grade. My dad the 3rd grade.
Wow.
You know, so.
And what did they do?
My dad was a painter for Weber Aircraft, and my mom, she was a cafeteria cook at schools. And so I had a niche. I didn't want to live like that. You know, I didn't.
Brothers and sisters.
Absolutely, yeah. I had 2 brothers. Excuse me.
Where were you in the?
I'm the youngest.
Okay.
So I have two
I'm
brothers.
I'm the youngest too. So.
And 2 sisters, and then my mother's uncles, my uncles and my aunties lived with us also because her mother passed. So I grew up with 4 guys in a bedroom. So as I was coming up, I always told myself I wanted to make it better for myself than it was for me and for my family and my kids as I start to come up. And so I worked my tail off, you know, and I had goals and aspirations and dreams, you know, as a young guy.
Yeah, like how young?
Oh, boy, it probably started back when I was in Pop Warner football. You know, I played at Baldwin Hills Pop Warner League. It was outstanding. And that's when I started to carve out what I wanted to be. I wanted to be in football. I didn't know what I was going to be. At first, you really think...
Why football? Was that just the place you excelled?
Yeah, it was such a competitive sport for me. You know, and it's a place where you can let a lot of frustration go. It kept me off the streets, kept me always involved in something, gave me a chance to really learn about team and about people. And you had to be able to cross different, you know, sectors and everything when you're dealing with people because you're playing in so many different areas. And then to stay there and go to Dorsey High School and really win a championship there, then football just kind of took off for me.
Right. So Was life frustrating for you as like an inner city kid?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You knew you were poor?
Oh yeah, I knew we were poor, we didn't have a lot of money. We lived on top of a church when I was growing up. Oh absolutely, I could hear church service on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I heard it all day on Sunday. You know, so it was, that's how we grew up.
So you lived up in the upper rooms, like on top of the church?
On top of the church, absolutely.
And would your dad pay the minister?
No, it wasn't the minister's apartment. It belonged to a Japanese family. The house did. The church belonged to somebody else.
Okay.
So it was really amazing. I went back 2 years ago and just took a bunch of pictures of the area of where I grew up at, because it takes me back. I like to remember.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Why do you like to remember that, man?
Because I think it's important. I think it really grounds you and make you realize why you're doing.
How far you've come.
Absolutely, and why you're doing what you're doing. It's what led me to you. You know, I said, how can I continue to make my life and the life better for others? And you can't do that if you don't have money. That's for sure.
Yeah. So you know, before you got in football, were there any victories for little HJ?
I would think there was, but not to the degree of football.
You working? Your dad's telling you to do what?
I worked at CSC. That was you wear yellow jackets and you go and be security for the games at USC, at the Oakland Raiders.
This
games.
is what, high school?
Oh yeah, this is in high school, and so that's
grades are good. Are you
grades
a
were
good
great.
student?
Oh no, I was a great student. Not a good student, a great student.
He was a great student. What does that mean? You were a great student?
No, I was a really good student. I was a B+ student.
So you were like, you wanted to be a good student?
Oh, absolutely.
Because what was driving you?
I wanted to be different than I wanted to be the one in my family who made it. I wanted to be the person that people could look at and say, this guy's doing it the right way.
Was mom and dad encouraging you?
Oh, absolutely. My mom, she was the backbone. My mom just passed just this past year, but she was the one who encouraged me to be all I could be. There's no doubt about that.
So football takes over in high school. Because you were good at something. What were you good at?
I was a quarterback.
You were the man.
I was the man.
Dude, you said, so do you admire quarterbacks more than anybody else on the field?
Absolutely.
Oh, still today?
That's who I love to coach, those guys, because they have a way of leading a team and getting them to win, willing them to victory.
Is it always the quarterback?
It is. I mean,
always. Every team, all 32 teams?
Always. If you have a quarterback that can play, you have a great chance of winning.
Yeah. And if you don't have a great quarterback?
You got a great chance of losing.
That's hilarious.
Absolutely.
Okay, so USC, you're doing the security thing. You're letting people in, watching the game for free.
Yes, and it was interesting. The two people that were running those particular organizations at the time was John Robinson at USC, and it was Al Davis at the Oakland Raiders. Wow. And I ended up working for both of those guys.
Wow.
Yes.
That is amazing. So you're playing the game, what, on the weekends?
So that's when they were playing the game, on the weekends, yes. So I would go, you get your jacket, put on your yellow jacket, you go be security.
You're a volunteer.
And you got paid. No, you got paid a little money. Oh, no, you got paid a little money. Hell yeah. You had to have a little money to go out and do something from time to time. Yeah. But it was good. I mean,
so when did you start playing the game?
I started playing the game in Pop Warner when I was 8 years old. Yeah. And I've been playing ever since.
And then you went to college?
Went to college.
Where'd you play?
University of Pacific.
Were you good?
Oh, yeah. I played quarterback.
How good were you then?
I was good enough, but I wasn't good enough to play in the National Football League, but I was good enough.
When did you know that?
I knew that I wasn't as talented as some guys. You got to be able to look at yourself and know who you really are.
That's good, man.
But people always told me, Hugh, you have a way of leading men. So one time I thought I wanted to be an FBI agent. I wanted to go try that route.
I could see you.
Yeah, I wanted to do that. And then I go, nah. And so I never forget a guy by the name of Bob Cope. He was the head coach at UOP. He said, Hugh, why don't you work for me? I was 20 and a half years old, making $21,000. Thought I was the man. I was driving a big old white car. Met Michelle, my wife, early and said, man, this is going to be life. That's how this is going to work.
So what were you doing then?
At that time, I was the tight end coach.
Okay.
And quality control coach, which they have.
For who?
For Bob Cope at the University of Pacific.
Okay. So and they were paying you $21,000.
They were paying me $21,000.
You're like, man, I'm in the game.
In the game.
Okay.
First chance at income. Didn't know any better. And I was giving
so
it all
let me just back up a second. So when you knew you weren't going to be a quarterback, Like, was that a difficult thing? Was that like?
No, because I think you had to be honest.
You weren't fast enough. You weren't big enough.
I wasn't big enough. You know, I wasn't big enough, and probably not as skilled enough. You know.
Oh, the chain.
Okay.
The chain's hitting the mic.
You got it. Yeah. Probably not as skilled enough. You know, and so. Like I say, you got to be honest about those.
Because, but what do you mean skilled though? Is that something people just have, or?
You're blessed with that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Look, when you say things that are so true, like
yeah.
when you're so convinced, do you see the smile this guy gets?
Oh, yeah.
Got to have money.
Oh, yeah. You have to. I mean,
so where did the skills come from? Do you think they come from their, like, just, it's a God thing?
I think it's mom and dad and it's God. You know, people are touched, you know, and I really believe that. I think, but you got to know what it is that you're able to do. What's going to be your niche in life to give you a chance to be successful? And I knew it wasn't going to be playing in the National Football League. But I also knew that I could get men to follow me. So it ended up being coaching.
So the guy that told you, hey, dude, you have an ability to lead people. People listen to you. You were how old then? I
was 20 and a half years old.
Wow, young.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't do military?
No, did not.
Were you asked? Were you called on to go?
No.
Okay. So he says, hey, come be the defense.
Come work on offense.
Offense.
Yeah, coach the tight ends and be like a quality control coach. We'll pay you, because that's the school where I went to school. So he gave me an opportunity to stay there and matriculate on.
You're driving a big white car.
What
is it? What kind of car?
Oh,
how big was it?
It was big.
It was huge.
It was the worst car in the organization. So you give the least guy the biggest car every time you turn a corner.
They gave you a car.
Oh yeah, every time you turn a corner, a gallon of gas would go out of it. I mean,
yeah, it was like an LTD or one of those big 4-doors.
Granted, it was 4-door and it was big. Yes.
That's hilarious. Okay, so when do you bring me to the transition? Like, okay, 21 grand. When you start moving up the ranks?
Yes, I did. You know, so I put my head down and worked. I kept watching and
What does that mean to a coach, though? I never understand what a coach is doing if he's working.
Well, I think you spend a lot of your time. It becomes your all-consuming passion.
Studying
films? Yes.
Talent?
Yes. Studying films, understanding players, what make them tick, how to get the best out of people. I think that's really important. And probably the guy that made a huge influence on my career was John Gruden. He came to the University of Pacific with Walt Harris. They asked me to stay there.
He's got a brother, right?
He has a brother, Jay.
They're on TV all the time.
Yes, and Jay coaches, he's the head coach of the Washington Redskins. And so I stayed there, and John Gruden basically taught me football. Wow. I was a wishbone quarterback, and we ended up being office mates. And he said, if you stay here at night with me, we'll grind, and I'll help you be all you need to be. And to me, that started to catapult me. And so then I went from University of Pacific to Cal State Fullerton out in California, worked for Gene Murphy, left there and went to London and worked in the World League.
Why'd you leave?
Because it was a pro opportunity. It was going to be my first experience coaching pro players. So I went to the London Monarchs where we won the World Bowl. We won the World's Championship in the inaugural season.
Oh, wow.
It was awesome. Being out of the country.
And what's your position then?
Then I was the running back and wide receiver coach.
Okay.
Because we didn't have a lot of coaches on staff, so you ended up coaching 2 positions and coaching special teams. So that was awesome. So I did that, and then went.
Because you won, or because what you're learning, or
because
you're
won.
in London, or what?
Because you win. At the end of the day, if you're going to coach and be involved in any competitive sports, don't you want to win?
Dude, please.
It's all about winning. I mean,
so let me. We're going to fast forward in a second with that question, but I hear a lot of people say they learn more from their failures, and I've always struggled with this. I'm like, yeah, I learned something from it, but I don't want to repeat it. and I personally learn more from my successes.
Yes.
Like in real estate, you don't want to learn from your failures because you'll end up broke.
Absolutely.
So what for you, what is it? Is it the failing or is it the succeeding that you learn the most from?
It's the succeeding. And there's no question the failing keeps you up at night.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. But the succeeding, because you want more. Why would you not want to be successful at what you do? So I would have to agree with you. I think it's succeeding.
So the second part of that is since you got there already, you love winning, right? But you came from these last 2 or 3 seasons with the Browns where people are going to say, dude, he had the worst record in football. So how does a guy that is a winner, that loves winning, how do you even deal with the fact that record?
Well, I think what you have to do is go back and quiet that noise in your own head first and foremost, and deal with it, and own up to the things that you could have done better, and understand what the situation was, and then move forward and be thankful for the opportunity. that you had an opportunity to, whether it didn't go as well as you wanted to, but here was a chance and it didn't work, and you relished the opportunity to do it again.
And they weren't a winning team when you got there.
No.
You knew that.
Yes.
So why take that on? Like what's wrong with you, man? This could have been your wife saying it, because I talked to her yesterday.
No, well, you believe that you can go save it. You can go fix it.
But like in an organization, like if you come to my company and my company's broken, I was thinking about this all night. I'm just super intrigued by the idea. How does somebody deal, it's easy to deal with winning situations.
Oh, absolutely.
How do you deal going in? Like I was telling Elena last night, why would this guy take that job? Why would somebody take on a company that's going down? And the Cleveland Browns were not doing well for years.
Right. Well, when you look at it, to me, if you want to build your legacy, you fix something and you make it better than what it was. And I knew that if I could pull that off, then boy, I'd be well cemented as one of the best to ever do it because it hadn't been done. And again, when I look back at what they're doing now, I'm sure they'll look back hopefully and say, boy, it's a part of what Hugh did here that gave us an opportunity to be better. But at the same time, boy, there was a lot of lessons learned. And like I say, you move on from them.
Where is the coach in the infrastructure of an organization like the Browns?
Well,
what's your influence in the food chain? Like, how low or how high is the coach? Like, I don't quite understand corporately where you sit.
Well, I'm just going to tell you how it works. Normally, ownership, is the top of the ladder. You have an executive team that you normally deal with. Then I think there's the head coach, and then the coordinators and the assistant coaches and strength coaches and everybody
So
else.
you're probably third on the depending on how forceful the executive is.
Absolutely. It just how it's all set up. Who do you report to? Do you report to a GM?
Yeah.
Do you report to the owner? It's just all how the owner sets up.
So like let's take like Robert Kraft in Belichick. So Belichick, who's got the most influence there?
Well, I would think because of what I'm sure, again, I can't speak for exactly what happened.
If you were to just
guess, but I would think that Bill Belichick, is the,
he's the force.
He's the force. I mean, I think
Robert Kraft's got all the money, but he's like Billy Boy's like, hey.
When you look at the Super Bowls, they speak for themselves.
Yeah.
The guy's an unbelievable winner. He knows how to do it.
Right.
He's proven that over and over again. So I would be all hands off and let him do what he needs to do.
Right. I would imagine that's how that goes down. Okay, so you leave. Were you surprised at Cleveland's decision?
Oh, always. I mean, you never.
You had no clue it was coming.
No, and that's okay. Like I said, I mean, I.
But how can you not know, man? I mean,
You don't.
What was the last season? Last season, what was your?
Well, the last season they finished 7-8-1.
7-8-1.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, and I was let go probably in the middle of that. So again, I can't go back and cry, spoiled milk. What you do is you put your big boy pants on and you move on, and you thank everybody for the opportunity. You thank the players for being there for you and working with you, and then you go find the next opportunity.
And I mean, the fact is there's going to be 31 losing coaches, right?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, there will be 31 teams that's going to be disappointed because only one team gets to win the Super Bowl.
Right. So where do you go from here?
Well, again,
you're 50.
53.
53.
Yeah,
you look great.
Thank you.
Taking good care.
Take care of myself. It's going. It's slowly but surely it's going. But I've, again, you take a step back and you reevaluate it all, and then you make sure first and foremost that from a mental standpoint, you're where you need to be. And I think that's what's important. I think you got to go acknowledge the pain, the disappointment. You got to go tackle that because there's a human side to all of this that I think people have to deal with.
It's so public.
Oh, absolutely. And
like if my business doesn't make money for a quarter,
yes.
Nobody's writing about me. Nobody's tweeting about me losing money. Like I cannot imagine.
Oh, it's hard. But
and the fans, the fans, are they cruel? Like are they?
Well, they can be. I mean, because they expect a winner.
Right,
when they pay their hard-earned dollars to go to games, they're looking for wins. They're not looking for excuses.
Yeah.
And so you have to reflect on those things and find a way to come out the other side of this. And I think that's what's important for people. I mean, everybody gets knocked down. It's how do you come back out the other side and keep on going? And that's where I am in this process.
So, like, that's the last season. You're going into the season knowing, I mean, half the guys have to know we're not going to make it this year.
No,
I don't have the talent.
Yeah,
Schedules.
I thought the talent was better. I thought we had done an outstanding job of putting better talent on the team. How fast would it mesh? How fast would it come together to produce wins? There's always a question to that. And
so how do you rectify that? How do you, in your mind, go into a season and say, okay, probably not going to win this one. Probably have no chance of making it to the playoffs.
I don't think you ever believe that.
No, you don't. Huh?
You can't.
Wow.
Because you can't sell to your team if you believe that. And that's the art of all this. You know, you have to stand up in front of these men and lead them and have them follow you and have them believe that they truly have a chance to go out and compete and win games.
Okay, so let's say you get 2 or 3 losses, 2 or 3 Sundays, they don't go well. How do you? What's the presentation to the men?
Oh yeah.
To say we can turn this around.
Absolutely. Well, I think first and foremost, you got to always be consistent. You have to be a consistent leader. You can't be high when things are going great and so low when things are going bad. And so I would hope that the players would say I was always very consistent, even when it wasn't going good. And that's hard. Like you said prior to that, to lose 31 games, I never imagined in my mind that could happen. And to be able to have to look in those men's face and say, here we go, we got to go put it on the line again to have an opportunity to win, that's tough within itself.
Crazy, man.
That's hard.
Nobody talks about this.
No.
Like, you should write a book about this, dude.
Someday I will.
No, you really should, because I'm telling you, like, if you could prepare people, men and women and kids, for how to go stand up in the face of failure over and over again, and to be where you're at today, so positive, you're not sour grapes, like you don't accuse or blame anybody for anything. It's amazing, man.
Well, you can't, because then to me, you wouldn't be moving forward. You know, you'd be stuck in it. You know, and to me, then I wouldn't be trying to come out the other side of it. You know, but I think it's so important to. There was the greatest time in my coaching career. I know people don't believe this. Was that 1-31?
Wow.
Getting those guys every week to give it everything they had and to go out there and fight and truly believe that they had a chance was probably the greatest thing I've ever done. And I know people won't understand that, because that didn't mean you won.
Why do you say that? Like,
because that's the hardest thing to do. I don't think people get that. I mean, to stand in front of a team week in and week out and get them prepared and have them believing after maybe losing, not whether you got your butt kicked or whether you lost by a little or a lot, to get them back up to go do it again, that's hard to do. And I don't think people get that, you know, because people can identify with winning. You know, they don't want to identify with losing.
Right.
That's hard to do.
So a guy like LeBron, okay, they didn't make the playoffs this year. How hard is that for him?
That's hard. That's hard. When you've been in not just the playoffs, the finals. I mean, this guy has been in the finals almost every year.
Right.
That's got to be hard, you know. And I'm sure, and I can't speak for him, but I'm sure that he'll do some reflecting, because he's got to come out the other side of that. Because I'm sure he's taking it personal. You know, when it doesn't work.
But he had to move over there for the money, right? I mean, that was a financial decision for him. Wouldn't you think?
I'm not going to say it was.
What do you think?
I truly believe that at the end of the day, you take on opportunities to better yourself, to challenge yourself. But number 3, and probably the most important, is to win. He didn't go there to lose. I don't care what nobody says, because that's not who he is.
You don't think it's just a finance? I always knew. I told everybody, I said, I guarantee he ends up in LA. He's going there for the finances.
I wouldn't think so.
No,
I mean, LeBron James has a lot of money. Whether he goes,
I know, but he can't buy a team. He ain't got enough money to buy a team.
But whether he goes to LA or not, I think he has quite a bit of money. So and to
you're
me,
probably right.
And he's going to decide. He's going to decide to buy a team with others, I'm sure, as well. So I just think again, this was a tough year, and it was bound to happen, and it's happened, and I'm sure he'll recover from it.
Tell me, so what do you do now? You get an agent, you got a manager, somebody's out hunting for you. They're
I have an agent.
Deals.
I'm represented by Rock Nation.
Rock Nation,
which is Jay-Z. You know.
Oh, okay.
Nation. Yeah, so I'm represented by that group. John Thornton's my personal agent. Again, he's out looking. I mean, there's quite a few speaking engagements that I have. You know, there could be some radio, TV things right now. It's I hate to say it, but to be able to decompress for a year, you know, from being in that situation is probably the best thing right now, and it has allowed me to learn more about what I need to do to be successful in life. And again, it's led me to you, which is great.
Absolutely. I mean, I consider you a friend already. Just easy to be with you, and it's phenomenal. Do you go back to the game?
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Oh, no
you
doubt.
go back to the compression chamber. You want it. You want it.
I want it in the worst way because that's the competitor in me. I got to go fix what happened. I do.
You watch the games on Sunday?
Oh yeah.
You watch college?
I watch it all.
You do?
I'm a football junkie.
Yeah.
I am. But that's the competitive spirit I have. I don't want to leave it the way I left it, because I know I can do better than that.
When you see a person, okay, I was wondering this yesterday when I met you. I said, okay, this guy, he's got to be evaluating talent all the time.
Absolutely.
Right? I would expect you're a tremendous judge of character. Like you can size people up fast. Is that true?
You have to.
Do you have this natural thing that you're like, here's the guy's strengths and here's his weaknesses?
Absolutely, you have to, because you got to know how you can help people. How can I help this player be the best version of himself? How can I help a coach be the best version of himself? So you try to create environments.
I mean, do you do this in ordinary life, not just the field?
You have to. I try to. Sometimes I try not to do it as much, because you're so in that mode all the time. So you're always reading body language. You're always reading people and how they respond to you or don't respond to you, because it gives you a pretty good barometer of what's going on. And you never know what's going on in a player's life or another coach's life as they walk in the next morning. And so you have to have your antennas up all the time.
That's amazing. Tell me about the foundation. I love what you're doing for.
Yes, it's called the Hue Jackson Foundation. We're doing everything to combat human trafficking.
And tell the audience about how big human trafficking is today.
It is huge. It is again, it is one of the most unkept secrets in the world.
Nobody wants to talk about it.
Nobody does.
Super dark.
Absolutely.
There's more slaves on this planet today
Absolutely.
than at any other time in the history of this planet.
And people don't, they try to kind of, they think it's prostitution. It's worse than prostitution. And so we've established a foundation.
You want to explain that?
Yeah, well, I think prostitution, normally a young lady is wanting to do that, and
I choose it as a career.
Absolutely. And the human trafficking, they've made to do this.
Yeah.
They've been groomed and forced and kept against their will and made to do something that they don't want to do. And
to maybe get into a country
yes, and to make money, so, and it's normally done through force. And it's
not through choice.
No, and it's not right. And so we've started a foundation, and right now we've partnered with the Salvation Army. We've created a residence in their building where we house ladies. We have 16 beds that we're helping these ladies and trying to help them matriculate back, into the mainstream. So we're doing some great things.
How do you meet one of these people?
Well, we work with law enforcement.
Okay.
They'll bring them to us and recommend that we, bring them in.
So she gets busted as a prostitute, then you find out not really, it's really.
Yes, and so we find out what it is, and I mean, there's some horror stories.
Yeah.
There's some tremendous horror stories.
Yeah, what got you involved in that?
Well, we've had an experience in our family, not human trafficking, but something that we had to live through. And I've always said I wanted to make sure that I gave back in that situation to make it better for those young ladies. So that was on my heart. And me and my family, we made a decision to do that.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate you doing that.
Thank you.
Who wins the next Super Bowl?
Oh boy.
Can Kansas City win it?
They can. The Kansas City.
What do you think about him?
Oh, I love Andy Reid. He's a tremendous coach, but Patrick Mahomes was one of my favorites when he was coming out. What a tremendous player and tremendous young man. I mean, he's talented.
I got 500
already. You do.
To win the whole thing. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to give you a dark horse here because everybody's going to pick New England. I'm going to pick New England because of the coach, the quarterback.
You're going to pick New England again?
Yeah, because you got to have a great quarterback. And no one has dethroned them yet, and until that happens, you got to always go with them.
Really?
But my dark horse will be the Oakland Raiders. I think John Gruden's going to get that program turned around.
If you could coach anywhere today, like if you could be magic wand and say, that's where I want to go, where would you go?
Anywhere that they would want me.
No, man.
I'm being honest, because I think in order for those things to work, it's like your company. You got to have true alignment.
Yeah.
You got to have a vision, and all those things got to be aligned together. And if you want to win one way and the next person want to win a different way, and you're not aligned correctly, you're probably not going to win. It's just the way it works. And so I think that's so important. I think it's so important to really understand what's the vision You know, how does the owner really want this to go? And then how do you align everybody to get on the same page to go win?
Dude, what are these owners like? Like, they're
rich.
so rich today. No, I mean, this isn't rich anymore, okay? This is not rich. This is like money. This is almost like they've been anointed or
They're rich. They have a lot of money.
Access to anything.
They do. And there's some great ones out there. And, you know, and there's some that sometimes they see this as their hobby, you know, and this is...
it's just a toy.
Yeah, sometimes it's a toy. But they also are, you know, because they're kids, they're families, you know, they've been watching football all their lives and they get a chance to run these teams. But again, I think there's some really good ones in the National Football League.
You're awesome, man. Okay, I look forward to getting to know you better.
Oh, absolutely.
Any advice that you have out there for, because you're 50 years old, you know, I said once in my life, I said, I'm not going to have anything to say to the world until I'm 50.
Okay.
And so, and I did a lot of talking in my 30s and my 40s, but somewhere around 50, a little older than 50, so I suddenly started having something to say that started hitting with people. What do you have to tell a younger person, maybe that's 17 or 27, about entrepreneur? They're not in the NFL. They're never going to play that game, but the game of life, about winning in the game of life and losing in the game of life.
Yeah. First of all, Grant, I think you better know who you are first and foremost. You know, don't practice the art of self-delusion and think that you're something when you're really not. Number two, I would, every platform that you're on, I would follow it immediately to truly learn about money. I don't think people are well educated about money and how to invest money, you know, and how to use money to their full potential. I really don't. I mean, I'm 53 and I'm just learning. I'm being very honest with you with that. Because I've spent my career earning income, you know, not understanding passive income. And so I think it's really important that people start to learn, but you have to have someone you trust. And like I said, you know, watching you and vetting you out and understanding, I think the more people that people can talk to, people who can give them those experiences and tell them the right things, the better they would be. But any young person today should do everything they can to learn. And then surround yourself with the people that can help you be what you want to be.
How important do you think money is today?
Oh my gosh, it's
because I say this all the time to people. I get a lot of a bit of criticism for it. You talk about money too much.
It's very important because I mean it's how do you survive if you don't have it? You know, and I think everybody wants a better quality of life. You know, and how do you do it? And I think if not, you're going to work so hard the rest of your life. You're going to work until you die. You know, and I think that's tough. There's nothing wrong with working. I'm not saying that, but I think if you're not being paid, if you're not putting yourself and your family and your loved ones in a better situation so that you can help them, then what are you really doing anything for?
Coach, hey man, it's you know when you're around people that are just leaders, he's meant to lead men. You just want to be around this dude. If you guys ever get a chance to spend 5 minutes with this cat, you see him anywhere, he's awesome. You're going to feel it. I'm telling you, you're going to be a better person because you spent time with him. Really appreciate you coming in today, okay? Look forward to a long friendship with you. Tell your wife, I apologize for my abrasiveness, okay? We'll save that for another show. Hue Jackson's here. Folks, look, get yourself in a position of power, okay? Get yourself in a position where you can win in life, okay? And where you can lead others. I'll have you in that chair right there. I look forward to you on the next Power Players.